You say you're sick of looking at Netflix and you don't know what to watch.
So many movies out there, you don't know which ones are good, which ones were bad.
You curious about what's out there?
I'm Joey Powers.
I'm Don Tretler.
This is The Best Pictures.
The ones you don't want to miss.
Hit it.
Say hello to my little friend.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Winners go home and prom queen.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
I don't deserve this. Deserves got nothing to do with it. No sequel for you.
Years.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of The Best Pictures. I'm one of your hosts, Joey Powers.
Hey, and I'm Don Tretler. Welcome to the show.
Um,
We're going to talk about movies, and last weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy was the big opening movie, and it opened here in Bells Falls, and we got to see it.
We did. It actually, for the weekend box office, it easily won the weekend box office, made $118.4 million, which I think definitely was right around, might even be a little higher than what the studio expected, but I'd say definitely in line with what they expected. Super Mario Brothers came in second, 18.6. Evil Dead Rise is actually doing pretty well. It's third at 5.9. It's already at like 56 million, I think, which for an R-rated horror movie, I mean, that's pretty good. It must have pretty good word of mouth. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret was fourth at 3.2.
I guess that was a popular book.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't even know what that is. And Love Again rounds out the top 5, 2.4. I'm not sure what that is either.
I don't know. Love Again.
Yeah, I might have to click on that just to. So, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. That was because wasn't there? What was that other one? Like where the crawdads sing or something like that?
Yeah.
Wasn't that based off a popular book? And that actually turned out to be a pretty decent.
It was
grossing movie. I don't know how the movie itself was. It says a young woman tries to ease the pain of her fiance's death by sending romantic texts to his old cell phone number and forms a connection with the man the number has been reassigned to.
Oh.
I don't know. Sounds like something I probably would never see.
I think I've probably seen the trailer for it. It didn't float my boat.
All right. So what did you think about Guardians of the Galaxy?
I thought it was all right. I kind of thought it was meh.
I mean, I kind of like Avatar. I hadn't seen the first two. I literally got 2 minutes into the first one and then just started watching Fast and the Furious because I was in the mood to watch Fast and the Furious. But I ended up watching the first one after that night after we got back. I thought it was too long. It didn't feel that long, but 2.5 hours or
was it?
Yeah, it was 2 hours 30 minutes. I thought it was too long, and it was definitely more serious than I anticipated.
Yeah, I had a tough time getting engaged in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. There came a point where I'm kind of like, do I really care? You know, and that's kind of like my judge. I can judge a movie. Like, am I invested in this? Do I care what's going to happen? And I was like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good way of looking at it. I mean,
I liked the first one. I really I thought the first one was fun.
Yeah, I definitely liked the first one better, no question.
As far as a comic book movie, the second one had Kurt Russell in it. Didn't Kurt Russell play like his dad?
I don't remember. I haven't gotten too far into the second one. I did see him in
and that was kind of that was okay. That was a pretty fun movie. And this one just didn't do much for me.
It wasn't. It was just a little more serious, like I said, than I expected. I mean, really, Rocket was pretty much the star, kind of, right? I mean, because it was really based on him. But it was definitely different than what I expected. It wasn't. I didn't think it was like bad. I mean, I'm glad I saw it. But definitely, I mean, the theater was a lot busier than I expected, that's for sure. You missed all the previews.
Yeah.
Because you were in line for so long.
It was pretty close to full.
Yeah.
Which meant a lot of people must have seen the first two movies. So they must have been excited about seeing this.
And probably all local, so they didn't have to travel far, too.
Right.
And it's a lot cheaper, too. So that also factors into it. But all in all, it's it was a good movie. I enjoyed it, but definitely not at all.
Do you think they'll make a fourth one?
No, I think it's over. I think the way that they ended this one,
they could always
they could, but they shouldn't.
Probably not.
They shouldn't. But Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it gets 8.3 on IMDb right now. It just came out. They're always going to be higher when
Right.
they first come out.
Well, the first one got an 8, right? Just 8.0. That's what it sits at now. Volume 2 is at 7.6, so just a step down. And then this one is at 8.3. I think
It's
it's
not
going
going
to
to stay.
settle.
It's definitely not going to
And
stay.
I'll bet it settles lower than Volume 2.
Probably.
Probably lower than
I
7.6.
honestly-
7.6 is pretty good.
I think 8.0 for the first one. I think that's high. I wouldn't give
Do
it.
you?
I wouldn't give it that high. I'd probably give it mid-7s.
I probably have to watch it again. I just
Yeah.
remember it being a lot of fun. And I do remember being engaged in that movie, that I thought the characters were fun. The music was fun.
Yeah, no, I did like the music in the first one. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, now next week, the big opening is going to be Fast X, which I'm assuming that's the 10th one.
Yeah, I think it's the 10th, and if they decide, I think it's probably the final one.
Wow.
Um,
yeah. Well, who knows? If it keeps making money, they'll keep churning them out.
No, they will. They definitely will. And they're all overseas, It'll cap itself at like 250, 260 in North America, and it'll bring in like 700 or 800 million worldwide, overseas, because everybody loves watching the cars,
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. They're not really that good at movies, and they're not huge domestic, but all the money's overseas. So they'll just keep making them as long as Vin Diesel keeps starring in them.
Yeah. Vin Diesel and I, this is a fun fact. Vin Diesel and I have the same birthday.
Same year too?
No.
No. Well,
No,
that's still cool, huh?
I'm a little older than Vin Diesel is.
So I texted you the other night. I was just poking around the internet, and there was a site that said 15 of the most surprising movie endings of all time. And naturally, that caught my interest, so I clicked on it, and I read them all, and it turns out I only counted 14, so I don't know why it said 15. But I've seen 12 of the 14 of them, and I own 11 of the 14 of them. So obviously, I like most of them.
Right.
So I figured we could talk about them, and because I think it's pretty good.
Well, when you heard surprising endings, what movie came to mind?
The one I have at the top of the list, actually. That was the first movie I thought of when they said surprising endings. That's The Usual Suspects.
Right.
Because I remember watching it when it first came out, and I didn't get it at first. Like, when he drops the coffee mug or whatever, and I'm like, I was watching it with my best friend at the time, and I'm like, what's happening? I don't get it. Like, it just wasn't computing. And then my best friend told me, I was like, no way. I was like, I never saw that coming. It was just, I'd never seen a movie like that before. It was just, I hadn't seen Chinatown yet, which I
Right.
do think should be on this list. But I completely floored me. I just, absolutely shocked. Excellent movie, though. I mean, Kevin Spacey won Best Supporting Actor. Christopher McQuarrie won Christopher McQuarrie won Best Original Screenplay. The only 2 Oscars it was nominated for.
Huh.
Kind of surprising, that it didn't get nominated for Best Picture, because it does get an 8.5, which is very high. I should have looked to see where Braveheart is, because Braveheart won Best Picture that year.
Now, didn't the movie Seven? I think it came out the same year because
It did.
Kevin Spacey was in both.
It was in
movies.
both of them. That's another movie I was going to mention that I'm surprised was not on this list.
Yeah.
Because the ending of that movie, I didn't see that coming either, the way that ended. Did you? When you first saw it, did you expect that 7 to end the way it did?
No.
No. That was a great ending. But what did you think of The Usual Suspects? Do you remember the
Oh,
first...
I remember it being. I really liked it.
Do you remember the first time you saw it?
Yeah.
Were you like shocked? Like, whoa, I can't believe
Definitely.
Yeah. No, it was great.
I mean, now I don't know what's
It's
the way
been
to put
done
it. I'm jaded now, so now I'd be watching movies and I'd be looking
Exactly. It's been done to death now.
Right.
But at the time, it was just like so like... And it didn't make a lot of money. I don't think it was like a big wide release. I don't necessarily think it was independent, but I don't think it was like... I think it just was like a medium release, because Bryan Singer directed it, and that was before all the X-Men movies, so I think that was pretty much before he hit it big, directed.
Right.
But that's probably the one that got him started in the stardom. I wish I should have made a photocopy of this so you could bring up the next one. The next one is Heat.
Heat. Yeah, which I don't remember.
Which you don't remember the end.
I don't remember what the end of that movie was. I'm thinking, if I remember right, the guy had a family, and he didn't go back to them. Is that right?
No. It's...
Well, don't tell me.
No,
we don't want to ruin it for
no,
anybody.
It's kind of hard to describe. It's in that
It's
realm.
a movie. This is one of the movies
It's-
I have to see again.
He's with a girl, not a family, just a girl, and he makes a choice of either to get in the car or to run. But that's not even. I don't know if that's why they consider the ending shocking. I didn't find it all that shocking.
Yeah.
I just found it very entertaining. I really liked it a lot. A little long, it was like right around 3 hours long.
Right. And they only do one scene together, don't they?
The scene at the coffee shop or whatever.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic scenes in movie history. They compare it. They compared The Departed a lot to that because Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio are hardly in any scenes together, really until the very end.
Oh.
Because there's the one scene where Leonardo DiCaprio or Matt Damon's he's following Leonardo DiCaprio, but they're not really in the scene together. They're not really in this scene together until Matt Damon or Leonardo DiCaprio finds out that Matt Damon is the mole, and then they have the scene on the rooftop and stuff. But I liked Heat a lot. Like I said, it was too long. Outstanding cast though. Two icons of all time: Al Pacino,
Right.
Robert De Niro. Val Kilmer was still pretty big at the time. Ashley Judd was in it. Natalie Portman plays Al Pacino's stepdaughter.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, Amy Brenneman plays Robert De Niro's love interest.
Right.
Then you got like John Voight's in it. So just a really good cast, a really good movie. And I'm a big Michael Mann fan. I really liked I didn't really watch Miami Vice, but I watched the movie and I liked the movie. I thought it was pretty good.
What's the last one he did?
That I could think of, Public Enemies. I don't know if he's done anything since then.
Oh, all right.
I haven't even seen that. I own it and I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think I just bought that one too. Yeah, it seemed like he did something. But like you say, I do. I like Michael Mann a lot too. Yeah. What was the other? Another one off that list is There Will Be Blood, which I don't know if I remember. I think it was kind of an unconventional movie to begin with.
Yes.
So the ending in it I wouldn't say it surprised me, because it doesn't follow a formula plot to begin with. So I don't know. I don't know if I would have predicted that as a surprising ending.
That's something I'd probably have to go back and see because I watched it when it first came out. And I don't even really remember the ending too much to that one.
Right.
I remember Daniel Day-Lewis was great in it. I thought Paul Dano was great in it too.
Right. What a great pairing.
Yeah.
And they did another movie together. They did another movie, but it was a much smaller budget movie. I still haven't seen it. Where Paul Dano plays his son or something like that.
Really? Him and
Daniel Day-Lewis. There's a movie. It is. It's like a smaller movie. It's not wasn't a big budget release or anything like that. So it's kind of amazing to think that they're in a film together. Maybe they enjoyed working together. That's why they.
Yeah, maybe it could very well be.
Because you got to imagine that Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis have to be kind of close. They've made several movies together.
Yeah. I clicked on Michael Mann to see what he's done recently, and I saw upcoming titles. Heat 2.
Heat 2.
Yes. Sequel of Heat, parentheses 1995, gives the background and conclusion of the major character's story. I don't even know what that means, but
Oh, man.
Adam Driver's in it.
Huh.
So I don't know, why do they make sequels 30 years later? I don't get it. I mean, Maverick, yes.
Money.
Maverick worked, but most of them it's like people don't care.
Right.
But there was something I was going to say and I completely lost it now. Because,
About Michael Mann?
No, about something you were talking about. Oh, Paul Thomas Anderson. Out of nowhere, I was looking for Fast and Furious because I wanted to watch the original. And I had a Blu-ray DVD in my pile and it was in the way, so I accidentally knocked it over and I picked it up. And it was Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
And just out of nowhere, I was just like, I guess I'm just going to watch Boogie Nights tonight because I haven't seen it in a long time. I forgot how much of a good movie that is.
It is really good.
It is a really good movie. And that outstanding cast in that movie as well. But it was just completely random, just because it was in the way. I just wanted to pick it up to get it out of the way. And I was
Right.
like, I'm just going to watch this tonight because I haven't seen it in a long time.
I've probably seen it 3 times now.
That's probably like the third or fourth time I've seen it.
Because I like it that much.
Yeah,
I think it was really super.
I really liked it a lot. Like I said, outstanding cast.
And both of us, neither one of us is really a big Mark Wahlberg fan.
No. That's probably why I hadn't seen it
Probably
in a
his
while.
best movie.
Probably, definitely. Okay, now you mentioned Fight Club. Fight Club was on the list.
Right.
8.8. I still say that's way too high. I liked it, but I didn't like it that much.
Did that surprise you at the end of that movie?
Yes. Yeah. What about you?
I guess it did. Yeah, because I wasn't really planning that, but I guess watching it now, I would probably be looking for that.
Yeah.
That type of a thing.
Yeah, but yeah, at the time, no, it definitely surprised me. And just the whole idea, now it probably seems like the normal, but when that came out, that was like kind of groundbreaking. Like, they're really just going to hang out and beat the crap out of each other.
Right.
You know, and it's pretty graphic. You know, like, I remember there's one, I haven't seen that in a long time. But there's one scene where, like, Edward Norton's at work and he's, like, making a copy or something. And he goes to talk and, like, I think, like, a tooth and, like, blood, like, just start coming out of his mouth. You know, and his boss comments. He's like, you know, whatever you do in your own time, whatever. He's like, but you can't be coming into work looking like this. But no, it was a really good movie. It was just different.
Right.
And the fact that it's 8.8, not just because it's that, but to say that that's David Fincher's best movie, I can't agree with that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's better than Seven. I don't think it's better than Gone Girl. I mean, I think it's a good movie. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's better than either one of them. And I honestly would probably say I don't even think it's better than The Social Network.
Right. And Zodiac. Don't forget
And
Zodiac.
Zodiac. You know, I mean, and that just goes to show how good of a director he is, because he has
Right.
not directed that many movies. How many of those are over 7.5?
Probably most of them.
Probably every single one of those that we just said are over
Right.
7.5. And he's directed what, maybe 10, 12 movies? You know, so
Well, Fight Club, I haven't read the book, but the guy who wrote the book, I've read probably, I don't know, I want to say roughly half a dozen of his books. So I kind of know how he
is he pretty famous?
kind of comes around. Yeah, I would say he is, because it's usually tough to find his books used and things like that, you know, but yeah, he writes endings like that where you know, things kind of come around. There's a big twist at the end of the movies, at the end of the books. Actually, one of the books that I read was called Choke, and it starred Sam Rockwell.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think it did really well.
I really like Sam Rockwell, so I'd probably check that out.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
All right. The next movie on the list, movie I'd never ever seen shot like this before, Memento.
Memento, right?
Never seen a movie shot like that before. I've never even heard of. Has the movie even been shot like that since?
There is another movie like that. There's a comedy with Dana Carvey where he has.
Is that The Master of Disguise? Did we?
No, it's
Okay.
not Master of Disguise. What the heck was it
feel
called?
like
Anyway, it's the same type of thing where he has amnesia and he has to like retrace his steps and everything. I think it came out real close to Memento.
I didn't realize when I started watching Memento what I was getting into. Like, I had no idea. I heard it was a good movie. I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And then after I watched it all, I was like, that was completely like reverse. Like,
Yeah, it takes you like 15 minutes
Yeah.
before you start to get the pattern. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, wait a minute now.
yeah, okay.
What happened at the end of
so
the
the
last one?
beginning is the end, and the end, yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was a good idea for a movie, though. And
It was.
It got really well. It gets an 8.4, you know, which is,
And this is Christopher Nolan now. Did he write the screenplay for that as well?
he did. Him and Jonathan Nolan, so I'm guessing probably his brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
And that came out prior to Insomnia, right?
it did. It came out in 2000. Because he did a movie before called The Following, which
I don't think I've seen it.
I still haven't seen it, but we had it at the video store, and the guy, this is dating how long ago these movies are,
I think I might put this on my list.
and the guy who saw The Following first, he's like, you should check out this movie because he was talking about Memento. He's like, this director is the director that did The Following, and it was really good. And so I watched it, and maybe it's just called Following. I thought it was called The Following. No, it's called Following. A young writer who follows strangers for material meets a thief who takes him under his wing. Gets a 7.5.
Sounds fun. Anybody big in it?
Nobody I've ever heard of.
Oh, all right.
But I think this was his first movie.
It's probably on my list somewhere.
Oh, John Nolan's in it. So, I mean, let's check and see if it is his brother. Looks older. Nah, it might be his father. Yeah, he's definitely older. He's like in his 80s. But no, it gets a 7.5, and Memento got an 8.4. And then I'll check Insomnia, but Insomnia,
He's got to be pretty big. One of the biggest directors right now. You would think like anything he comes out with gets
Well, isn't he doing Oppenheimer? Isn't that him?
right.
That's coming out in July. That's
Yeah.
that's one I think we should go see. That hasn't a really big cast too, But I'm just gonna check Insomnia because I'm pretty sure Insomnia gets pretty high. 'Cause I remember watching Insomnia when it came out, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it only gets a 7.2. That's kind of surprising. I thought
I thought it would be higher than that.
I did a little higher.
Yeah.
I just watched that actually pretty recently, and I remember liking it. I liked it as much as I did the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
But Oppenheimer has like a huge cast. That's
Yeah, what's that guy's name?
I think Cillian Murphy's the
Cillian
star.
Murphy. Yeah. He's Oppenheimer.
Yeah. But it's got him, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Kenneth Branagh, Gary Oldman, Josh Hartnett, Rami Malek, the guy who played, I don't know how to pronounce
It is
his
quite
name.
the cast.
The guy who played Solo,
Oh, yeah.
Aiden Ehrenreich or something.
Yeah, Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's got a pretty good cast. It's got even more than that, too. I think it's just Casey Affleck's in it, Tony Goldwyn, Florence Pugh. Is that how you
Wow.
pronounce her name? Yeah, it's got a really big cast. That comes out.
I guarantee you, with that cast, this is going to be a 3-hour movie.
Don't say that. I want to go see
I
it.
know it is. I know it's going to be a huge, long movie with that many people in it. In order to fit that many characters in, it's got to be 3 hours.
Well, how long was Amsterdam? Because
that was easily like 2.5.
Oh, well,
2.5
I was
hours.
going to say that had a pretty big cast too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't even say it had the runtime on it. Because that's definitely something. It comes out July 21st. That's something I would really want to see in the movie theater. But I don't know if it's going to be 3 hours. That's kind of pushing my limits.
It might say on it. Does it say how many minutes?
It
is?
doesn't.
Oh.
It doesn't. Probably trying not to scare people off.
Right.
All right, another one, Inception.
Inception. Right.
8.8.
Well, that's interesting because Inception has kind of a question at the end, mark at the end of it, where, actually, I mean, I don't think I'm ruining it to say this, but the top is spinning at the end of the
Yeah.
at the end of the movie, and people have tried to say, well, what was the interpretation of it? So that movie, I don't know if I would say it's a surprising end, but it's kind of an end that's open to interpretation.
Do you think maybe it was left that way for a possible sequel?
I don't know. I
mean-
think it just sometimes I think it makes a movie more interesting. You know.
So it's number 14 on IMDb. It's 8.8. Another all-star cast. Obviously, Christopher Nolan directed this one as well. Leonardo DiCaprio, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I was going to say it's got a typo. It says Elliot Page, but okay. But also like Morgan.
Oh, maybe it isn't Ellen Elliott now?
Yeah.
Right.
But like his dad.
Michael
Caine. I can't think of his Tom Hardy. I think that was Tom Hardy's like breakout role in America, because he was doing a lot of British stuff before then. And I mean, honestly, that was kind of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's really huge breakout, like as far as movies.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was by then.
He was on like Third Rock from the Sun. Like
Was he?
That TV show? Yeah, he was like, I don't even know if he was related to their son or I don't know what it was. I know they were aliens. But Marianne Cotillard was in it. Cillian Murphy was in this one as well. He does like to use a lot of repeat actors and stuff, which isn't bad. Ken Watanabe is one of the main characters in this. Really, really good movie. I waited a while to see it because I heard it was very hard to follow. I didn't really think it was that hard to follow.
It took me a couple of go-arounds to get into it because I didn't understand at the very beginning.
See, I didn't have a problem with it. But
I think you just have to be able. Sometimes I think you have to just be able to sit there and just be open to
think
whatever's happening and let it kind of develop, and you can figure it out along the way.
I think that's what happened with me because I didn't think it was that hard to follow. But I know so many people said it was difficult for them.
Because I was watching, I'm like, what the heck? What is this all about? And then I turned it off. I was like, this is boggling my mind. I can't do it.
That's a movie I actually probably watched in the last few months.
Inception?
Yeah. I really like that movie. I really do. I thought the cast was great. And Christopher Nolan, it's like him and who we were just talking about. What's his face? Director.
Oh,
Fincher.
Paul Thomas. Oh.
No, David Fincher.
Fincher,
It's like
yeah.
everything they do lately, it's like awesome. You know, they're just really, really good. I mean, all three Batman movies were great.
Right.
You know? I think we have time for one more. All right, how about... I don't know if this one was necessarily that big of a surprise to me, but One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. 8.7.
Yeah.
Did you think the ending... Were you surprised with the ending?
I guess it was. I mean, it was kind of a shocking ending.
I kind of thought that was going to happen. But I also didn't see it until like the early 2000s too, you know, so maybe maybe I'd seen so many endings that were just
Yeah,
That
I mean,
could-
I guess, when you think about it, when you go back in retrospect and you think about the whole thing, it's kind of like, yeah, I guess that.
yeah. If I had seen it when it first came out, I probably would have been floored.
Did you see the sequel?
But no, don't give me that. I was like, some movies should not ever have sequels. But I mean, we've talked about it before. The ensemble in that too. I mean, Christopher Lloyd,
Right.
Danny DeVito. Is it Brad Dourif?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, he was really good, but still, Nurse Ratched. I mean, one of the biggest villains in like movie history. I mean, I hated that woman so much.
That was excellent casting.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
She won the Academy Award for, I think it was Best
Best Actress.
Actress.
Other,
But she hasn't done a whole lot. I mean,
No,
we
she
would have a
hasn't.
hard time coming up with to name 5 movies she was in.
since then, I can name one, 2 Days in the Valley. That's the only one I can name. Because I was like, didn't she win an Oscar for Best
Flowers in
Actress?
the Attic. That's my.
Oh, Flowers in the Attic.
That's
I
my
forgot about
one
that.
that I can name from her.
That's a good movie. I haven't
Now,
seen that in a long time.
What is that about? Like, why did they? She did such a great job in that movie. You can't tell me she's not a good enough actress that you would have put her in something.
Do you think it's personal? Like, do you think she just personally decided she doesn't want to act?
Maybe, or maybe people just decided she was so identified with that role that they didn't want to.
That could be, because we talked about Mira Sorvino too, about how, or Cuba Gooding Jr. He won for Jerry Maguire, and what has he been in?
Right.
I mean, he was in the People versus O.J. Simpson, like the TV American Crime Story or whatever. But
It's too bad because I kind of like Cuba Gooding Jr. and he was in Men of Honor with Robert De Niro.
yeah, that was
which
good.
I really thought was a good movie.
That was
That's
a really
an
good
underrated movie.
He had like a smaller role in like American Gangster, but I mean, he hasn't been like the lead really a lot. I mean, he was kind of like the co-lead of De Niro in Men of Honor.
I think there's something behind the scenes with him.
Yeah, because it's like, I remember he was in this movie one time called Boat Trip. It's like a direct-to-video movie.
Yeah.
And it looked terrible. I was like, you just won an Oscar, man, like 5 years ago. What are you doing? But I don't know. So yeah, it's got to be something because he was great. And I watched Jerry Maguire like within the last month, and I thought he was great in that movie.
Right.
So I don't know. It's strange how that happens. Some people, they shoot off to stardom, and other people just kind of get left behind, and it makes you wonder. Because he was, I mean, Boys in the Hood I thought was a really good movie, and I thought he was really good in that. So I
Lou
don't know.
Gossett. Lou Gossett won for Best Supporting Actor.
and Officer and a Gentleman. What was his claim to fame after that? Iron Eagle movies?
Right, that's what I was going to say.
And he was in Toy Soldiers. But, I mean, that wasn't like a big movie or anything.
Yeah, like, is he such a bad actor? Like, nobody wanted to cast him after that?
I don't
You would. I don't know. I would think that would be like a.
I thought he was great in An Officer and a Gentleman.
Yeah, it would give you like a ramp to stardom. That
Exactly.
somebody would give you a leading role in something and say like, "Hey, okay, here's this guy's chance. We'll give him something."
Exactly. But we are out of time this week. We could probably finish this list next week and maybe have another new movie to talk about.
And then we were talking about Fast X opens next Friday.
Yep, the 19th.
Friday the 19th. What's and this week was a skip. They skipped it. This week has Knights of the Zodiac. Don't ask me. I don't
Isn't
know
the book club coming out? The second book club?
The second book
Yeah,
club.
that's the closest thing to a big release. There really is.
But there's a movie called BlackBerry about the invention development of the BlackBerry.
God.
And there's a movie called, I want you to watch the trailer for this, Fool's Paradise. Because I saw the trailer and I said, oh my God, that looks good. That looks like it's like a fun movie. It's Charlie Day.
Okay.
And he's got, I forget who else is in it with him, but it's got a couple of other decent people in it, and it looks like a good movie. I'm kind of surprised that they're not going to promote that, and I don't know. The trailer looks good. Let's put it that way. It
I'll
looks like
check
it
it
has a
out.
real fun trailer.
All right. So that's been our episode this week. I'm one of your hosts, Joey Powers.
Hey, I'm Don Treadler. These are the ones you don't want to miss.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room. Here's Johnny.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.